bit like insensitive or just ignorant of the context of things. So, for example, like fucking the Confederate flag is seen, if you don't know better, is seen in parts of Europe as like just like a part of Americana iconography. You know, this is just the rebel flag. There's no association to it. It means you're cool. It means you're a cowboy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And then like, but in reality, that flag has an awful history behind it, which most Americans know.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas here in Europe, it doesn't have the same emotional baggage attached to it. You know? People go, oh, that's a nice. I like stars. I like blue. I like blue. I like red. You know, because it's America.
I like stars. I like bars.
Yeah. Another thing.
But one thing that I like the most about the Confederates is their final flag, if you look at chat.
Yeah, that's a classic.
On YouTube, it's a white flag. For a short period of time, they had a white flag.
For very short, because then, of course, they came up with the you know, they joined, they decided to give up for some reason, you know. There was a little kerfuffle or something, you know.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I was gonna.
Sherman was doing the funny to Atlanta.
Uncle Billy came for a visit. I was gonna say another thing as an American that's kind of weird to see, like looking from the outside in.
Yeah.
Europeans are way too comfortable with using the N-word.
I know, right? Oh my god.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but again, you know, that's again, it doesn't have the same baggage here as it does in the US, because we didn't really import slaves into Europe, right? I mean, the number of slaves that we did,
you kept them in the colonies.
You kept them in the colonies, exactly. And, you know, the pejoratives for that. I mean, you know, the N-word is often seen here as something more positive, because it means, you know, I've got guns and bling. Right? Thanks, rappers. You know, you've I mean, I've had problems with my own kids. Right? I mean, they've said the N-word, and I was like, "What did you just say?" You know, they said, "Yeah, well, my friends say it." I'm like, "You're not saying that in my house." No, you're not. Right?
Yeah. Jeez.
Not happening. Right?
Damn.
I mean, it also doesn't help that their dad has a first name, which actually is a pejorative. So, you know.
Oh, no.
I'll type it in the chat, right? Because
okay.
We're losing audience members by the minute.
Yeah. That's how. So the first one is how you write it, and the second one is how you pronounce it. And I was once when I was in where was that? That was in California, right? I was 12 or 13 and visiting, you know, friends there, and my mum had lost me in Walmart. So we were she was looking around, and she was yelling my name, right? So you can imagine what kind of, you know.
Clicked for me. Oh dear.
Oh dear, exactly, right. And I've also worked for an American company, right, Sun Microsystems, and you know, I mean, it was their UK headquarters. So you know, dealing with Europeans all day, you know, you pick up the phone and you just say, "Hello, it's me," you know, my first name. And you know, you just hear the silence on the other side of the phone, and then excuse me, yeah. Oh yeah, no, sorry, that's my name. Oh sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry, did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I am familiar with, you know, how incredible. I mean, it's you know, it doesn't have the same cultural load, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, significant. Yeah, like I'm having a fucking stroke. Someone put me out of my misery. Race relations. I finally did it. In the US have a different history than it have in in Europe.
Yeah.
Because basically because we didn't kill each other over race, but because the other people spoke other different funny language.
Yeah, or, you know, because they were just from the next town. I mean, this is also something that, you know, you see very much more in Europe, because, you know, we are more through our history. Yeah, no, not older, but through our history, we have had more kind of regional conflicts than the US. You know? the relations between towns in Europe is on a whole other scale than it is in the US, right? I mean, the football teams, I mean, you can get good rivalry in the US, but it goes nowhere as far as the hooligans that we have for our football teams, right?
if we're playing football, entire cities devolve into active war zones.
Yeah, JJ makes a good comment in the chat. But we are very racist to the Roma in Europe, I must say. And that's still ongoing, by the way, which is a very sad affair. Yeah.
If I say to that what I want to say, we get taken down.
Just don't.
Sular, I've seen that before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't ask Abs what he thinks about gypsies.
Yeah, exactly.
See, okay, Pyrus, what I've noticed is like the racism between like American and European. Like, I've noticed that Americans on average are way less racist, but the ones that are racist are super obvious about it, so it's easy to avoid them. I find the European racism a little bit more prevalent and maybe a tad bit more sinister and hard to detect if you're not looking out for it.
True. I think that's...
You make it sound like a refinery. You have to see, here we are enriching the racism.
Well, here's an example. Here, I've thought of the perfect example. Take somebody who's black or of African descent. You put them in the U.S., they're born and raised in the U.S., people look at them, they hear them talk, they think American, right? Take that same black person, have them be born in, like, Poland. And then they grow up raised and speaking Polish their whole lives, and then somebody will ask them what they are, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm Polish," and they'll always be like, "Yeah, but where are you really from?"
Yeah. That's it. I mean, I live in a small town, so I know exactly what you're talking about, right? We've got this Chinese family running, a stereotypical Chinese takeaway, right? And everyone always asks, "Yeah, but where are you from, really?" And they're all from around here, right? Like 3 or 4 generations, and they're really, really tired of this shit, They're really like, "I don't want to deal with this anymore, man. I'm from here."
See, I've heard
one
in like
very weird thing that I have discovered yesterday. Are a certain brand of American flags. I will now send one into chat, and the two of you have to guess of which state or organization this flag is from.
Okay.
Oh, I've seen this.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay,
you have to tell me.
Okay, then that's Snore guess.
I have no idea.
It's the American United Farm Workers Union flag.
Papers, please, looking ass flag.
yeah, exactly, man. I'll just put it on the on the YouTube. We're so gonna get cancelled for me showing this flag, right? And all the Europeans going, "Wait a second, right?"
Hey, I've seen that one before.
The German guy is at it again.
Yeah.
Those Germans and their shenanigans.
To give some perspective for you, Peter, how that works underneath different European cultures. There's still some bickering.
Yes.
And old wounds. My first girlfriend, she was Polish. Like Polish family living in Germany, like Polish mother, German father. And her mother wasn't happy at all with the fact that I was German.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can expect that. I mean, as a Polish person myself, depending on how you grew up, there is some residual hate for either Russians or Germans. And in my family's case, we were taken and thrown in the gulags, so it's firmly with the Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. But I mean, that also, I mean, we're talking about, the relations between the EU and the US, right? When we watch TV, right, we see mostly American content these days, right? There are
American shows, American movies,
and also American plot lines, tropes, things like that.
From time to time, there's that weird Scandinavian crime drama.
Yeah.
Or where a dude in the town in Sweden with a population of 20, now 19, gets stabbed. Murderer took out 5% of the entire town.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, the point I'm trying to make is, Europeans get very, very much influenced by the United States, and I think one of the things that makes Americans think that, for example, the Europeans can be very kind of nasty to them, is that we always have to have an opinion on America. And this is one of the reasons why, really, isn't it? Because, Europeans get a lot of American culture, but we don't really influence it, as it were, right?
Yeah. Well, that's okay. It depends. Like, I don't think you actively influence, like, modern culture as much, although that is starting to change, and I'll bring that up in a sec.
Yeah.
But rather what I'm talking about is it's more so whatever the immigrants took with them as far as culture that has really shaped America's institutions and how America is. Like, for example, a lot of our law system is like very similar to like English common law.
Yeah.
And, obviously that's because most of the people that set up the government in the U.S. were former Brits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Disaffected British people going, this king guy, not a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, as far as European influence on America goes, Europeans are very influential in the United States when it comes to fashion. I can definitely think of that. Americans are crazy about European fashion brands and like beauty products and stuff. Like, always, like, the highest selling stuff is some fucking bullshit from France.
Yeah. You see that in Japan, funnily enough, as well. It's
and the power of German engineering.
Yeah, not so much, maybe. I don't know, not as much. I mean, it depends on what you see really on the high street and stuff like that,
Yeah. Pyrrhus Sorry, I was just gonna say, to answer Pyrrhus's question.
Yeah, go
on. Yeah, it's more so of a thing where it's like Americans don't need to learn a foreign language. Like, foreign language learning, Americans have the privilege of it being a hobby, while the rest of the world kind of has to learn English to get a job. So I think that's a big part of it, the motivation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and JJ mentions European cars are also a status symbol. So that's
especially for Germans.
Yeah, that's where Germany really shines, isn't it? But it's not like Europe as a whole has much influence on American discourse, or it's more more kind of trade rather than cultural, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really interesting because we get Netflix, right? But you in the US, the Netflix you get is it's basically it's basically our Netflix minus all the Scandinavian stuff, right? All the Scandinavian crime stories and stuff, right?
You're talking about soft culture then.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Europe's got a pretty big influence here too, depending on like what exactly, I guess, what little niche you're in. There are a lot of niches around. For example, language learning is actually starting to be a huge thing in the US. It's really taken off, I think, globally, with Duolingo being as accessible as it is. But yeah, I could think of since a lot of Americans have European ancestry, the ancestry and the culture kind of sticks with a lot of the families. So a big part of it is, okay, people might have European family and so they watch European TV, or sure, they grow up in the US but they speak a different language at home, and as a result they may want to watch TV shows in their own language. We get a lot of that, but in terms of like European influence on like the bigger American public consciousness, it does happen. Like, for example, there was the German TV show Dark. Was insanely popular in the US.
Oh, really? Because it's not that, as far as I know, it's not that part. Yeah, exactly. It's not that popular here, funnily enough. Yeah, I've seen it come past on Netflix, of course, but yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, on American Netflix, Dark is incredibly influential.
Here, so Sular says, so what you're saying, Snore, we must export Arte to the US. No, not Arte. Eurovision, right?
No, give us both. I love Arte documentaries.
Yeah, that is true. They are very, very good, you know.
And I mean, you guys fucking let Australia play in Eurovision. Why can't we?
Oh, man.
Although I feel like it'd be cheating a little bit considering just how big of a cultural giant the US is.
Yeah, but that makes people hate you even more.
You shouldn't pull.
People already hate us.
Americans Got Talent thing. We sent one guy who just goes, "My kittens died all of cancer. My parents didn't show up to my birth. I was erased by a garden gnome."
Yeah. Oh gosh, I must say, right? If any of you guys ever have the opportunity, just watch some Swiss TV, right? That is like the most hick kind of broadcasting that you'll get in Europe, right? Especially for those that speak German, right? I mean, oh my god,
yeah,
right. Swiss TV is horrible, right?
Yeah, I haven't watched any Swiss TV. The closest I've come, funnily enough, there's this video on YouTube of this Swiss guy dubbing over a German porn.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So like it's this shirtless dude. Since they're dubbing over it, there's no action going on. It's just a dude sitting shirtless going like, ja, lass mich, yo, but like in their stupid fucking little Swiss accent. Yeah. So it almost sounds like a Dane speaking German, because it sounds like they got a potato stuck down their throat or like their mouth.
Yeah.
I'll have to show that. I'll show it to you in the after party.
Yeah. You got to show that, man. I got to see. Yeah. I didn't know about this yet, but yeah, man. Oh, porn dubbing.
I highly regret not being drunk. This would be so funny.
Oh yeah, Sula also says biggest contribution from the Swiss to the European media is the Yodel song for the ORF panorama programs. Yeah. True.
The Yodel song. I'm not aware of this song.
Oh, we'll have to paste that to you. Can you find it, Sular? Paste it in the chat if you can find it.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, Rico.
Man.
Ricola.
Yeah. But so we've talked a little bit about the cultural bit and the difference between us. Let's kind of continue and talk about more kind of nowish, right? Because we've got the war in Ukraine, which is going very well, by the way, right? And the United States Congress still hasn't really passed any money for them for weapons and stuff like that, right?
That makes sense.
And I mean, we've been talking about this for quite a while now on the chat. What the reasons are for the U.S. to be more reticent when it comes to providing aid to a European country, and kind of going, it's kind of more of an EU problem, or a European problem, rather than it is a NATO problem now, right? What are your thoughts on this, Peter? I mean, I don't want to make you represent your whole country, as it were. But when you talk to people on the street, is this a subject that comes up at all with people?
Yeah. So as a disclaimer, I represent both America and Europe, so I flip-flop perspectives.
Yeah.
He is the voice of America. His words are the rule.
Yeah, exactly.
His words are the rule. I've been better at this.
Yeah.
Did I mention that I'm currently ill?
Yeah. It's okay, man. We'll forgive you if this once for being sober on your watch.
Yeah. So as far as the Ukraine thing goes in the U.S., it's such a complex issue with a lot of perspectives, but I'll try to list off all the factors I can think of. For starters, a lot of people really sympathize with Ukraine in the U.S. I'd say the vast majority want us to help Ukraine thrash the shit out of Russia. However, there are some sects of politics in the U.S. that do not want that for various reasons. One of them being the isolationists. They don't want to drag America into another war, which, I mean, for one, as somebody who has spent a lot of time just like in the geopolitical debate, I understand that completely, because a lot of the time when America gets involved in something, first of all, there are a lot of things that like we've been asked to be involved in, and then people will later give America shit for ever being involved in something, and it's just like, okay, I mean, you guys asked us. And so it's this weird hypocritical dichotomy of America shouldn't be the world police, but also America, come fix my defense problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, well, okay, when we do something wrong, you guys tell us we never should have been there, even though in certain cases you have asked us to be there. And that's the only reason something went wrong. And so a lot of people in America are kind of sick of the, okay, hey, we can't risk doing anything military-wise because it's going to be shoved in our face for like 20 years. So, I mean, a lot of the people in the U.S. are tired of being called warmongers, and so there's a big...
For example, there was Libya, right? I mean...
I was about to bring up Libya, too.
That was the one I was going to bring up, too.
Exactly. I mean, this is the most recent example, There's others. There's Somalia, there's, I could probably find a few if I start Googling now, right? But this is something, I mean... I said it before. What healthcare is to the U.S. as a problem, defense is for Europe, right? I mean, we definitely have not been pulling our weight for the last, let's say,
that
50
is
years.
50.
Yeah, that is such a succinct way to say it. I like it.
Yeah. I think it's, but I truly think it's a factor, whereas we spend a lot of our defense money on internal projects. We don't have that big of a military industrial complex. Right, you've got a German military industrial complex. You've got a Polish one. You've got a Ukrainian one, right?
French.
I mean,
you just name it.
The German one basically crumbled after the end of the Cold War.
Yeah,
because we genuinely thought like, okay, we have now world peace. The commies are gone. Like the frontier of the blocks doesn't go through our country anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I would caution anybody online to I guess what I'm trying to say is like there are a lot of like, anti-America hate trains online. I can't help but wonder how many of those are like part of like Russian bot farms, because
guaranteed.
Think about it, if the people of America and the people of the EU hate each other, you drive those people apart slowly over time using social media posts or selective stuff out of context. You're eventually going to drive people apart, and that's going to eventually show itself in the electorate when people start electing politicians that aren't as friendly on America.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely in Russia's interest for something like that to happen, a divorce of defense policy, because it would make Europe weak, and it would make America it would definitely lessen the influence of the US in the European sphere.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the Europeans give us the boot, then we're basically just like, okay,
yeah, screw you. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Now,
then you've got Russia lurking in the background, ready to pounce for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm pulling up a map here, which is I'll try to copy it into the chat, right? Which is this is from 2019, so this is still pre-Ukraine.
Fuck yeah.
Right?
Listen, Poland does a lot of wrong things, but they are always consistently based with their opinion polls because they love us.
Yeah, exactly. And I keep on remembering that they actually have these cosplay festivals in Poland, right, where they cosplay Americans.
Oh, yeah. They all get their trashy wife beater and shitty American beer.
Yeah. And in the Netherlands, they're crazy about American cars, right? If you have an American car, you're like the man in the Netherlands, right? Paris can attest that. The Dodge Ram trucks, right?
Yep.
They're like gold here, man. We've got 2 parked down my street. I live in a tiny town. So there's we do have this connection, right, which between the US and Europe at the moment, and you can see, right, that despite all the trouble that Russia has taken to kind of drive us apart, people still think that NATO as a defensive organization and as something that kind of coheres us into one kind of people in some way. That's still worth supporting, even in places like Greece, which is, especially after, the Ukraine war. But in Greece, it was always traditionally very low because they, of course, had a war with Turkey while they were both members of NATO. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and now, you see much more support for NATO. In Europe than before the war, obviously, because now it turns out it's actually a useful thing, right?
Yeah. Okay. Nothing made me angrier before the Ukraine war than people calling NATO useless. I'm like, you motherfuckers! I am Polish. I know damn well what Russia can do to people.
Exactly, and I think Ukraine really pushed that button home to the people that
really drove the point home.
Yeah, you'll always have a minority that thinks that something's crap, or something's not in their way, or but NATO has traditionally been kind of the post people want to kick, because it's there and it doesn't really defend itself as on social media, or it doesn't really have a presence there. So it's just the point I'm trying to make is NATO now is much more relevant than it used to be. But what you do see, I think, is that there's an imbalance in NATO, which people do want to address, especially Europeans. But it's it's either you reform the EU and make that part of NATO, or you are all these tiny little states. What is it? 31 members, I think now, right? It's really, really hard to kind of keep that, to put pressure on the United States in case of, arms purchases or things like that, because the United States has such an overwhelming presence there, right? And that does create some bad blood,
Well, if you want to talk about bad blood,
go on. I want to hear it, man. Just lay on me.
So I was talking about how some people are weirdly anti-US online, and I have noticed the worse it comes, the people who do it the most often, or where we get the worst of it from, I've noticed are the French, and I've always noticed that those comments usually accompany like a post about France's military, like military industrial complex. So it'll be like something like Switzerland declines, Raphael purchase or something. And it's just a bunch of comments. People will say, yeah, while the F-35 Lightning is better, because everybody's buying our jet right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's most of NATO.
Yeah, exactly. And then you will see the most rabid Frenchmen come in and just defend the military-industrial complex and just like tear, just like go nuts on America.
You have to see, Peter, the French are very proud people.
Oh, I know.
And you see, no one loves and hates the French more than the French.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it is true that, that the interplay between the US on one side and all the other NATO states on the other make it easier for the US to be the target, because you always want to punch up, not down. You know what I mean?
Also, it is now 10 p.m. Central European Standard Time. It is time to get someone on stage.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, look.
Solar volunteers.
Solar.
Guten Tag.
There we go. By the way, sorry if I cough because I'm also sick.
But we all got something today, man.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I definitely wanted to add on like why America kind of gets a lot of shit from Europeans a lot of the time. I feel like there's also definitely a large chunk of people who, let's say, grew up in the during Cold War times with the generally let's say more generally more leftist circles in the West, where and then of course Iraq happened both times. And at that point, like, you kind of get to a point where, like, a lot of the, at least German, kind of leftist spectrum is either split, like, either there's someone reasonable on the matter, or they have this kind of train of thought going on where they're like, well, we don't like the US, so obviously anything that opposes the US must be good, right?
Yeah. That's something you still see.
That is... Yeah, I absolutely despise that kind of thing.
Gentlemen, I have a counter proposal. There is a banner against We Can Unite, a flag that we can all hate, and the people that it represents. You may now look into chat.
I can agree,
I have to abstain because my mom's a British citizen.
Oh yeah, but my wife's a British citizen. That doesn't exempt her. That doesn't exempt her.
Fair enough.
Yeah. This is also, people go, it's Israel's fault. No, it's Palestine's fault. No. Wait. No, it's the root of all evil, like JJ says, right?
I mean, there's that funny phenomenon that I saw on Crowd's channel. The one that makes funny country ball explain videos.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden a lot of relatively new accounts are appearing in his comment section about European matters, explaining how most of Ukraine's farmland is owned by Americans.
Yeah, that's also a thing, actually. So I talked recently, actually, with a person about this who works in that area.
Yeah.
And they also they told me, when you go online, you can expect that, because that is really what Russia is extremely good at, right? They've had years and years to hone this, and now they're basically at peak performance. It's hybrid, this disinformation kind of opinion pushing kind of the Bundeswehr, I believe, called it Cyber-Informationsraum.
Yeah. Cyberspace.
Exactly. So they've become extremely proficient at that, and I think that must not be underestimated.
Yeah, I think
my favorite example of blaming Americans is okay. Do you guys know what happened to the Aral Sea in Central Asia?
No.
No.
Okay, there used to be this giant lake in today's
Oh, the
Kazakhstan.
Aral Sea.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
that one.
No, you tell it. Yeah, no, I just
Yeah,
when you said giant lake, it clicked. So no, you tell the story. I will along.
If you shut up, I tell. And the Soviets basically decided, okay, we're gonna need more corn. So they diverted a lot of water to it to irrigation projects. They diverted, in fact, so much of it that they have completely drained the lake dry. But you have to see, there are now a lot of cotton plantations around it. And someone on the internet told another person that these cotton plantations are owned by American companies. So clearly it's America's fault.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like honestly, that's the thing. It's like it's gotten to the point where hating on America is done like by both the far left and the far right equally. But for it will never not be funny to me how the far left and the far right can be Putinist at the same time, despite being completely ideological.
They want to suck both of Putin's nuts for two completely different reasons.
Exactly, that's
the right wants to implement here what they have in Russia. And the left simply hates the USA so much that they are willing to buddy up with fascists.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. See, I wanna add on to that. I really think that disinformation/misinformation is the biggest threat to everybody's democracy, and I think most of the world is not taking it seriously enough. Like, for example, a perfect example is TikTok. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. That hell site can go die.
Yeah, already it's controlled by China, and everybody knows that China can't exactly be trusted when it comes to information and data collecting. So we've got something that's hosted in China. It's a black box. ByteDance doesn't show us how it works.
Yeah.
They won't release their algorithm, and you've got all of America's and all of Europe's, up and coming, growing people. These people are having their formative experiences in life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I banned TikTok from my kids' phones, by the way. Just so
good fucking move. But I mean, think about it, right? TikTok has a video. I think it's like 2 minutes or something, 3 minutes. Like you can't make a long video on TikTok.
Yeah.
So people, what the scary thing is, the truly terrifying thing is, most people my age, I'm 23. So most people between 16 and 25, 26 get their news primarily from TikTok. Which is
oh my God,
terrifying, because if anybody can take, for example, a situation where the context is 46 minutes long, say it's a body cam recording, for example, an incident that is 46 minutes long, and you've got somebody who's freaking out and is a clear danger to themselves, all throughout the video, but then you cut to the bit where the cops shoot them. Literally, exactly. Literally, you will be like, watch this mentally ill man, get murdered needlessly by this cop, and it's literally 3 seconds before the cop raises their gun and fires.
Zero context, zero anything.
Or try explaining the entire ethno-religious history of the Levant in 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that thing, right?
That shit.
Did you guys also see that? I read a Spiegel article, I believe it was, where apparently some asshole shared a manifesto, literally a manifesto of Osama bin Laden on TikTok.
Osama's letter
to go viral. Yeah, exactly. That fucking thing.
That was awful to witness. Okay, so for those not in the know, a letter that Osama bin Laden wrote to the United States government has been circulating American TikTok, and it's not even the full letter; it's just an excerpt. Because the full letter is a bunch like full of a bunch of like Islamic fundamentalists, oh, we will kill you infidels kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that was conveniently left out, and people were sharing this kind of cleaned up redacted version of Osama bin Laden's letter around TikTok. God. And you've got all these dumbass teenagers and all these dumbass fucking 20-somethings posting videos where they like read the letter and pretend to cry, and then they're like, Osama bin Laden was terrible. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Seeing your generation, your own generation, be like, yeah, the dude who flew multiple passenger jets directly into the World Trade Center, this guy is somehow right.
Yeah.
Exactly, all the people on YouTube and chat, that's usually the reason why I'm drunk during this.
Yeah, like honestly, fucking, oh my God. It's, I don't know to which part, like, this is kind of, like, okay, I need to collect my thoughts. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I have to resist the urge to drink.
Yeah, it's like I'm kind of, it's like usually I do not drink. Like I barely drink at all, and when I drink, it's usually either light stuff or alcohol free.
Yeah.
But I mean, this kind of shit, like it's starting to really test that. Like, I have not been, like, real talk, I have not been as depressed in years.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, we see that as well. By the way, I mean, this is serious talk. We see that here on the Forum Gottefrieden as well. People are getting seriously impressed by what's going on. Look, I do want to add to the whole TikTok thing. What TikTok also does, and this is very insidious, right? Is they promote outrage in countries they don't like. So like Peter said, they will share that 2-minute out of context video of the police officer being shot. But if you're in China, you won't see those kind of videos. No, you'll see things like how to be a better communist, or how good G is for you, and things like that. It's very, very insidious what they're doing with that. I'm very, very glad that Russia didn't have the idea to start one of these social networks for themselves. I mean, they got VKontakte, right? But that's not popular in Europe at all, But I'm sure that if they had the range of what we're seeing happening with TikTok, there'd be no escaping it as a European, and we'd see a lot more young people voting far right or far left in that case.
Yeah, I really think
that's like No, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, I really think like being able to control somebody's primary information flow was a way bigger problem than most people give it credit for being, because think about it, we as humans, we collect information through our senses about the world around us, and then we use that information, process it, and then use whatever we've learned to formulate an action, and then actually carry that action through. So when you're being fed poisoned information, it'll poison your actions. It'll poison what you do, and as a result, slowly this could cause, I mean, I think it's already causing rifts in Western countries, but I mean, people are really starting to, at least in the US, like detach from their nationality. They're feeling less American and more like regional, and maybe, hey, they don't like the other guy that much, and when that other guy's values used to be tolerable, now they're intolerable, and I can't stand them in my country, and that's un-American, or this is un-American, and so on and so forth, until Russia's got us wrapped around their finger because we hate each other. How the fuck are we going to, I mean, NATO is based on coordination. How are we going to be able to coordinate effectively when we fucking hate each other?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that China and Russia want to happen, is that Americans and Europeans and other Western nations, like Australians or the Japanese, they don't like us working together, because I mean, it's worked so far very well for a while, and we're basically, every time Russia's got imperialist tendencies or motivations, we've been able to keep a lid on it, since the World Wars.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
when we have,
Sorry,
go ahead.
no. Yeah, that's also the thing that I wanted to say is what you mentioned there was like people detaching from their nationality. Like I think it's like a combination of like this gigantic amount of disinformation, and like I've never hated my own generation as much as I like honestly. I mean, it's literally, it's like, do you know that I think it's like a comic where there's like a guy like looking like at a Venus flytrap and like at a bear trap and being like, oh, how could these animals be so stupid? And then the fourth panel is him falling for something extremely obvious.
Yeah.
That's what that feels like.
I must say,
Either way, what I was gonna say is like, and the other thing that I think influences this is that there isn't really any like, okay, so this is going to be kind of hard to phrase, but what I mean is that like for the last feels like, let's say 10 or so 20 years, there hasn't really been like the generally like societally unifying thing, like in the 19th century it was the striving for democracy, or on the other side rampant nationalism. In the 20th century, like in the late 20th century, it was the threat from the Soviet Union. Now we don't really have anything that holds the society as such together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. That doesn't include Ukraine, though. I think Ukraine was really the new societal thing. I mean, each country, has its moments of contact, as it were, with reality. For France it was Bataclan. For the UK, for the US it was 9/11. But the Ukraine war has really pulled NATO back together. I mean, before we often forget that before the Ukraine war, Macron was saying, NATO is brain dead, and he had a point, right? Because NATO had no purpose, right? Until Russia decided to become another threat to Europe.
But
the problem everybody brings up.
I mean, NATO's main purpose in that phase was to curb Middle Eastern dictatorships on the UN's behalf.
But sorry, Snor. What I meant was more like, okay, so there's kind of this sentiment going around in like the 20-something/teenage generation right now of kind of just, general depression, like a general feeling that the world is just becoming worse as a whole. And as a result, I see a lot of like people my age who are just kind of, sinking into this indifference, like complete indifference.
Yeah.
And like the thing that we need is, and this is where like kind of my vision for Europe comes in, so I might get a bit political, a bit very political now, actually.
Oh no!
The politics podcast is getting political.
That's fair. Okay,
Exactly.
My brain might not be at the point where okay. Let's overlook that little lapse.
Yeah. Go on.
This is the Pokemon discussion circle.
God, but yeah, like the thing is like, I mean, what the EU can very, very, like what it should become, in my opinion, is like the next big like generational project, right? So that the thing that like everyone can kind of agree on that we should strive for, and that kind of drives people forward.
Yeah.
Like the hope for a better tomorrow.
Exactly. I think that's what's missing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's also why I say like the EU needs to put some more, let's say, PR emphasis on, let's say less technocratic and more immediately successful projects to kind of kickstart this.
Yeah.
So like the civil protection mechanism, for instance, the rescue program. I mean, like that's a kick-ass name.
Yeah.
And it's like, just, give them like their own little, blue gold jackets and like paint jobs. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Give them guns,
And you
man.
have
Give them
yourself,
guns.
like
Right?
fucking gonna bomb the wildfires in Greece, BRB.
I have a better idea. Turkey once hired a multiracial pogo stick flash mob and skywriters to deny the Armenian genocide in New York.
Seriously.
Is this you're shitting me? This actually happened.
This actually happened. It was so dumb. I actually researched it because I couldn't believe it. That actually happened.
Holy shit, man.
God.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's what we need to do. We have to get the world pogo champions.
Oh my lord.
No, but I think getting back to kind of the discussion at hand, I think one of the things.
I mean, we're a bit overdrawing in time.
Yeah, it's fine. It's Friday night, guys.
We're having a good time.
Yeah, we're having a good time. Shall we move this discussion into our chat and close off today?
Yeah, we should, because I've been staring at this shirtless Swiss dude dubbing porn. Like, the video has been paused. It's been in the corner of my screen for like fucking 20 minutes now. I've just been looking at this man.
Okay, guys, we're gonna look at the shirtless Swiss dudes. It was nice. Thanks very much for being here, Peter.
Yeah.
It was lovely talking to you.
Yeah.
And,
thank you. It is always lovely to
Solar.
talk to you.
Yeah, you
Sorry,
too,
what?
Sular. Thank you very much.
yes.
Jan will be here next week, right?
No, I have my Christmas party next week.
Okay. Well, then maybe I'll do it by myself, but we'll see.
No, I could stick around if you want.
Yeah.
No, I'm getting replaced.
Yeah. Never that.
Never.
Anyway, guys, we'll see you in the after party, and see you next week. Good night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good night.
Remember, hire pogo stick flash mob.
Yes.
Here we go.